welcome back. It's Mo again. Well, in this lecture, we're going to be looking at is the console connection for the switch, just like the way we looked at it actually on the router. So I'm going to get myself a switch. Here's a switch. Let me get the fonts bigger. And normally I would get an actual computer, right? And get myself a console cable, which is a rollover cable from the actual laptop. Like if I go with USB, it doesn't work. Remember, I have to use the COM port. But in real time, you would use USB to RJ45, which is a console port of the switch. And then I open the actual device, my laptop, and I open PuTTY, which is something installed on your system. Remember PuTTY? That's how I could do actually a serial connection itself. And I open the terminal. All right. Then I click on OK, and I could actually see that I'm logged on to my actual device itself. But normally, I would actually do it from here. Since the Cisco Packet Tracer supports this feature, this is something that I could actually look into from the CLI directly. All right. So let me go ahead and do a few basic commands. Let's say the host name is switch1, enable secret is actually Cisco, all right? And then I do the line console 0 and I put an actual password, which is, let's say, console. And I have to activate it by doing the login command. And I want to do exec timeout, which means if I don't do anything within, let's say, 30 seconds, remember, 0 minutes, all right. And then I could specify how many seconds, 30 seconds itself. If I don't touch the console for 30 seconds, I'll be kicked out. I do exit and I want to go ahead and encrypt my passwords. I do service password encryption. If I don't do this command, watch this, and I do throw run, I can actually see my console password. All right. So I want to go to config T and do service password encryption, just like that. And then, of course, save my configuration, do WR or do copy run start, or I could just do WR here or write mem is all the same. Then I exit out of the actual switch, press enter. This is the console password, which is console. And then I log on EN and this is the enable secret itself. I'm not going to do anything for 30 seconds and I should be disconnected from the switch, right? That's good for security, I would say so, right? So that's one thing to know. Remember, switches replaced hubs. Hubs are obsolete because a switch, every port has its own line of communication. Hubs, they all share bandwidth. So two computers that try to transmit at the same time, they will actually collide. And switches filter by what? By a MAC address. I should be out now. There we go. All right. That's what I wanted to show you. This is my console connection, which means I have to physically be connected to the switch to log on to it. Now, this is initial connection. That's what I need to do. But most likely, we're going to be remoting into the switch either through Telnet or SSH. That's what I wanted to show you in this lecture. In our next lecture, we're going to see how can we actually remote in to a switch through Telnet. So we'll see you folks in our next lecture. Bye now. Everybody, welcome back. It's Mo again. Well, in this lecture, what we're going to be looking at is how can we telnet into the switch, remote connectivity from the command line, right? Watch this. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to remove this. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and put a few computers over here. So let me get a few laptops, 2, 3, 4, let's say, and let me hook up cables from my laptop to the switch. So let's say port 1, port 2, port 3, port 4. And let me give them IP addresses, or I could have a DHCP server, right? So I can make things easier for myself. I could set up a DHCP. But let's say I want to put static IP addresses. Let's say this one is going to be 100.1. And this one over here is 100.2, right? I'm using a private class C address. 100.3, 100.4. There we go. And then I'm going to go to my switch and give it an IP address. Do you remember on the router? I had to go to the interface, give it an IP address. Can I go to the interface over here? console. This is the console. All right. Okay. Let's see. If I go to interface F0/1 and I say IP, is there an address? No, there's not. Okay. How about DACB? This is actually for what snooping. That's different. All right, which is security for DACB. I cannot assign IPs per an interface on a switch. Why? Switches filter by a MAC address. So if I look at my running config, I could see where do I apply the IP address, which is the VLAN. Now, what is a VLAN? A virtual local area network. Now, basically, if I do show VLAN, I can see they only have one VLAN, which means I only have one network on the entire switch, one broadcast, and all the ports are actually a member of that broadcast itself. If I want to divide the switch into different departments, I create different VLANs. For now, I want to stick to the same VLAN, so I have to apply the IP address on the VLAN. So interface VLAN 1. I'm going to do no shut, all right, and give it an IP address, which is 100.253 space question mark. What is the subnet mask? 255.255.255.0. I want to save my configuration, do WR, but I did not configure the telnet. I have to type exit. And now let me ask for help. And what is it? Line. Yes. So I do line space question mark. It's not the console, it's the VTY space question mark. I can go from 0 to 15. I'm going to go from 0 to 2, which means I'm just going to allow 3 telnet connections at the same time. And I'm going to put a password, ask for help. And there's the password. So I'm going to be putting PA and hit the tab key, right? PA hit the tab key did not work because there's parity. PAS hit the tab key is going to work. And I'm going to call this telnet. I'm going to activate the password by using what? Login over here. Then I'm going to do WR to save my configuration. So if I look at my configuration, watch this. So I can actually see the VLAN IP and the interface is up because I don't see the word shutdown under here. Okay, here's the console and here's the VTY allowing from what? 0 to 2, from 3 to 15, there's no login. If I do show IP interface brief, I can see my actual VLAN that it's actually up. Now, why does it say manual? Do you remember before in routers? Because I never restarted the actual device. So let me restart. I already saved, which means everything should be there. I should not be losing anything at all. So let's give it a moment until I actually get to the logon screen. There we go. So this is a console, right? Not the telnet. I'm connecting directly, and then I put the actual enable secret, which is Cisco. So if I do show IP interface brief, I could see that it's actually up. Normally, this should switch to what? NVRAM. The Cisco packet tracer, sometimes it doesn't operate the way it should. So now how can I actually remote in? If I do show users, I only see the console. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this laptop, open the command prompt, and type telnet space the IP address of the VLAN that I assigned, which is 100.253. There you go. This is called telnet. All right. EN and the enable secret is Cisco. I tried to go over here, command prompt, and do the same thing, telnet. So I should be allowed with 3 connections at the same time. So I'm going to do telnet as the password, and then EN and the enable secret is Cisco. Or I could open a PuTTY, which is the same thing as here, right? And choose Telnet and put the IP address 100.253 and then connect, right? Password is Telnet and then EN and Cisco. Again, enable secret is Cisco. There we go. This one should fail, all right? And you'll see in a moment. I only can allow 3 Telnet connections at the same time. This is going to fail. Why? Because when I go back to the switch, look what it tells me over here. Let me put the console password. See, this is good for security. All right. And the enable secret. So it looks like I didn't type the enable secret. Control shift what? 6 EN and the enable secret. Okay. So if I do show run, look at this. Under here, I could see I'm only allowing from 0 to 2. I could have done this command, go run, type shift and the key under the backspace and just do what? VTY. Is there a VTY? No, because I did not do what? Correct. So I'm going to say section, then VTY, and I can see. Remember this? If I do the up arrow, see, you could be making mistakes. Question mark, ask for help if you get an error message. So I'm only allowing from 0 to 2. If I do show users, look at this, I can see how many connections I actually have, right? So this is Telnet, but it's not recommended because the passwords are actually sent in clear text. What we're going to do in our next lecture, how is SSH configured, which means it's a secure Telnet. It's like based on a certificate, based on what I did for my router. So we'll see you folks in our next lecture. Bye now. Everybody, welcome back. It's Mo again. Well, in this lecture, we're going to be doing is configuring usernames for the switch. Like if I connect to the console, I want to just put a password. If I tell it, I don't want to just put a password. I want to specify a username. Same thing as what we did on the router. So watch this. In our next lecture, we'll be looking at SSH, which requires an actual username anyway, but Telnet and console does not require it. So let me go ahead and log on. This is console and then they enable secrets, right? And now what I want to do is config T, global configuration mode, ask for help. Is there a username command? Yes, there is. And then question mark, what is the username? Let's say admin1. Space question mark, what is the password? I use secret, which is encrypted by default, and I'm going to make it CCNA. Then enter. Then I'm going to create another username admin2, but this time I'm going to give privilege. What level? Yes, 15. And then the secret is what? CCNA. And then I press enter over here. You see that? So right now I need to apply these to the console and to the VTY, which is a telnet. That's what I'm using. So I go to line con 0 and then I do login local, right? And then I do line VTY02 and I do login local. Remember, login alone activates the password that you assign to the line, either console or VTY. But when you say login local, it's going to disable the password that we assigned here. It's going to check the local database, which are the usernames admin1 and admin2, right? And another thing that I could do over here, if I exit out, maybe I want to get rid of the timeout on the console. Maybe I want to do a timeout for the VTY. So I could do line VTY02. So same thing as what I did for the console. I could ask for help and I could say exec timeout 0 space what? Let's say 30. I don't want to do that. So I just want to show you that it is possible. Control Z, then WR or copy run start. And now I want to go ahead and telnet first. So if I get out of here, and I say telnet space 192.168.100.253 username. Okay, admin1 and the password is CCNA. This doesn't have privilege 15, then EN, and the enable secret is what? Cisco, right? So again, if I'm on the console and I exit out from the console itself, let's see, I'm out. Username should be, let's say, admin2 this time, and it's not going to ask me for the enable secret. And there we go. We're in. So it's better to have usernames and passwords instead of just a password. But still, Telnet is not something recommended. What we want to do in our next lecture is SSH and disable the Telnet. So the console, yes, right? We need that always in case, I'm losing connectivity. I have to connect directly to the switch, to the router. I need a console connection. But I want to get rid of Telnet and enable SSH. And that's what we're going to be doing in our next lecture. Bye now. Hello, everybody, welcome back. In this lecture, what we're going to be looking at is SSH into the switch, which is a secure telnet. Telnet is based on port what? 23. SSH is based on port what? 22. So let's take a look and see. The first thing that I need to do is make sure I have an actual host name. So let me actually, your username is what? Admin2 or admin1. If I use admin2, I don't have to put the enable secret. So username is admin2 and then the password is CCNA. There we go. So if I go to my global configuration mode, I already have a host name. So I'm going to do IP domain name, and I'm going to call this udemy.edu, let's say. All right. And then I already have an IP for the VLAN. I want to do crypto key, right? Question mark, generate, question mark, RSA. That's the SHA, like the Rivas Shamir Adelman is going to be using SHA-256. And then general keys, and I'm going to say modules, question mark. I'm always asking for help, 1024. All right. And then space question mark enter. I need to enable IPSSH version what? See, I'm just putting the letter and hitting the tab key. If I'm not sure, I do IP question mark. I see SSH question mark. I see V, hit the tab key, question mark, the number two, and enter. See that? Then I want to create another username. So let's say username, I'm going to call this SSH. Let's say privilege, right? Which is 15, and secret is also what? SSH, let's say. Okay, so SSH is for the password, and then enter. Then I get into line VTY 0 space 2, and I do transport input, and I do SSH, which means do not allow Telnet. If I do transport input all, I'm allowing Telnet and SSH. If I want to just allow Telnet, I just do input Telnet. I just want to allow SSH. I do SSH. If I say none, then nobody can actually remote in. And press enter. Then I want to go ahead and do WR, right? And if I look at my config, look, these are out. You see that? That's amazing. And then Control Z, and let me look at my configuration and take a look and see. So it does tell me that I do have SSH, right? And I have SSH version 2, and I specified that I'm inputting SSH. All right, so let me minimize this and go to a device and see if I could telnet. I cannot telnet. Go over here, see if I could telnet. Let me exit out and say if I could telnet. I cannot telnet. I need to do what? SSH. So Telnet or SSH, the IP address of the VLAN 1, which is 100.253, username is SSH, and I'm going to connect, and the password is SSH, and I'm actually in. So SSH, again, is a secure Telnet. That's how you want to get in, not a Telnet. You want to do a secure Telnet connection. That's what I wanted to show you in this lecture. In our next lecture, we're going to set up a banner, which means a welcome message, the way we actually did on the router. So we'll see you folks in our next lecture. Bye now. Everybody, welcome back. It's Mo again. In this lecture, we're going to be looking at is how can we configure a banner. So watch this for console or for the VTY, either SSH or Telnet. So let me go back over here and go to where global configuration. So remember, if I use admin one and I put the actual password, I still have to know the enable secret because I don't have privilege level 15. So I'm going to go to my global configuration mode, ask for help. Do we have a banner command? Yes, we do. So banner, space question mark, message of the day, space question mark. I'm going to use the pound sign. And then I have to type my message. I'm going to say, welcome to my switch, just like that. And press enter. And then put the pound sign. Whatever I start with, I have to end with. Then there you go. So if I do Control Z, let me save my configuration, exit out, enter, I see my banner. Username is admin, let's say this time 2, and the password is CCNA. I don't have to put the enable secret. Admin 2 and password CCNA, and I should be in. How about if I SSH? Is that the same? Yes, it is. So let me go back to my device over here. Let me exit, Control Shift 6. Let me exit out, right? And let me just connect again and put the actual password itself, which is what? SSH, right? And look, welcome to my switch. All right. So that's how you set up a banner. It's always to put a warning like, don't log on unless you're an authorized user. You know, this system is monitored 24/7, 365. It's like a good warning, by the way, when I set up a banner. That's what I wanted to show you in this lecture. In our next lecture, we're going to see how can I simplify authentication? Like, I am really tired of configuring usernames here, and then the router, then another switch, then another switch. How about if I have a centralized server for authentication? That's what I want to see in our next lecture. So we'll see you folks in our next lecture. Bye now.